Yay, great. Thank you, Rachel. Hi, everybody. My name is Lindsay Fisher. I'm the founder of Creative Connector and the program lead of the Access Playbook. If you don't know who Creative Connector is, we are a national disability arts support organization. And really, we are dedicated to supporting deaf artists and artists with disabilities, as well as art organizations who want to make their organizations more accessible and create more opportunities for deaf artists and artists with disabilities. So the purpose of today's session is really to give you an overview of what the Access Playbook is, why we designed it, and really help you decide whether or not this is the right fit for you or your organization. So what we are going to talk about today, I'll just very quickly share my screen. There we go. Can everybody see okay? The slide deck? Great. Okay, so what are we going to talk about? So we're going to talk about what the Access Playbook is and why we created it. We're going to share a bit about the team behind the playbook, including the artist associates. We're going to share a bit about the framework that we designed and how it works. We'll also get into covering about what the fees are to participate, as well as the time commitment. And at the end of that, we're also going to have a bit of a cohort experience, what we call a cohort experience. So this gives you kind of a sampling of what it might feel like to be part of the cohort. So before we actually begin, I just want to give you a chance to just chime in briefly about maybe why are you here. Just put in the chat where you're calling from, maybe what organization you're here representing, and what is it that you're hoping to learn about today, or what is it that's something, a struggle or a challenge that you're having that you think or hope that this program might solve, or what is something that maybe that you want to strengthen as a result of this program. If you could just put that in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. And while people share, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why we created the Access Playbook. So, and I think as you share, some of the things I'm saying might come up in the chat, to be honest. So, some of the challenges that we heard from people around accessibility or creating accessibility in their organizations or their companies, first and foremost was resources and funding. So many arts organizations are working with limited budgets, small teams, and already full workloads. And accessibility can sometimes feel like another really big responsibility that's being added to someone's plate. The second challenge we really heard a lot was shared responsibility and organizational buy-in. So you might have one person in an organization who's really committed to accessibility, but perhaps they're struggling to get their board or leadership team or the venue they're working at or with to take access seriously. And it can be really difficult, I think, sometimes when accessibility is treated as one person's job instead of something that's supported by the whole ecosystem or organization and that is valued by everyone that you're working with. The third challenge that we heard a lot during our research was navigating the complexity, sorry, I can't even say the word, of access. So we all know accessibility is not one size fits all. I think back in the day, people thought, oh, I have a wheelchair spot, like we're accessible. Now, as we're learning more, we're really understanding that different artists and audiences have different access needs. And organizations have told us that they're worried about getting something wrong. I think that's the thing that holds us back. We're worried about getting or saying something wrong. And so then we don't actually try because that fear is so great. Or perhaps we're afraid of overlooking an important detail, or even just as simply as not knowing where to start. How do we start this access journey? The fourth challenge we heard was communication and trust building. So, a lot of organizations want to build relationships with artists and communities, but they don't know who to reach out to. How do we begin these relationships in a meaningful way? How do I make it not look like I'm being performative or just doing a one-off? Like, how do I really invest in building that really solid relationship? And building that trust and relationships, it can be difficult. It can be difficult in any part of our life, but especially when it comes to working with a community that we may be new to or maybe not be a part of. There might be a language barrier or a cultural barrier. And even if we're thinking we're doing everything right, we might still find ourselves in situations where we have inadvertently, through our well-intentioned efforts, have gone just completely sideways. And then the last thing we heard, which was interesting, was presenters were saying, well, I don't know where to find artists with tour ready work. And we were like, oh. So, these challenges are real. And that's why we came up with this work. It can be hard to do this work, and that's why we came up with the Access Playbook. At the same time, we also heard these challenges. We heard from the same people a very strong desire that they want to keep learning and they want to build something better. And we want to change this system that we all call the performing arts in this country. So we're encouraged by this. And it was why we designed the Access Playbook to support you through these challenges and make this work a little more sustainable. Over to you, Lindsay.
Yeah, and so really, so what is the Access Playbook? To describe it very briefly, it is an introductory disability-led cohort program for arts presenters and organizations who want to improve accessibility and increase the representation of deaf artists and artists with disabilities in your programming. So the program runs approximately for 12 weeks long, and we're offering it in the spring and the fall of each year. It's designed to help you develop stronger and more sustainable ways of working with artists, and really to help you tackle some of these challenges that Rachel uh, uh, expressed. So the goal of the program is to help you understand where you are and help you identify any meaningful places to begin the work and to create a plan that your organization can then realistically implement.
So, who is the Access Playbook for? We get asked this question a lot. And so, remember that at Creative Connector, the mission of the organization is to increase opportunities in the performing arts for deaf and disabled artists. So, the Access Playbook is primarily designed for people who present, produce, or program, hire, or work with artists in the performing arts. So, this also includes presenters and organizations who are not deaf or disability led. It's all arts organizations. So, it might include presenters, in-house producing companies, artistic directors, GMs and EDs, programming staff, festival staff, venue staff, uh, independent curators, or someone within your organization who wants to lead the work internally. I also wanted to talk about size of organization. So some folks are like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. We're a really small organization. And so the program is really built with every size of organization in mind. It's a universal transfer of these skills that we're talking about. And through the cohort, we do have a lot of time to talk, specific about your organization and the size of your organization. And then I also wanted to talk a little bit about level of knowledge. So some people are like, I'm just starting my access journey. Or there's some of you here that are already doing, relaxed performance and audio described performance. So this program supports you regardless of what your level of knowledge is or where you are on your access journey, either personally or as an organization. We've had organizations participate who at the beginning are like, yeah, we're already doing all of this, but who also significantly benefited from the conversations and connections that they made with our artist associates and with their peer cohort. So no matter where you are on your journey, this program can work for you and can be tailored to you.
Yeah, and so let's talk about maybe who the program might not be the right fit for. So if you're looking for very specifically a compliance-based course, we do not go into federal policies or regulatory laws related to that. Um, if another bad fit might be, say you're focusing on a different industry, so TV or film or media. We are primarily focusing on the live performing arts. We do not go into any screen-based type of accessibility. Um, Another thing is if you are really, really busy right now. So say you're coming up in fall, you're at the height or the peak of your season. We did design this to be manageable to take. However, it does require participation. So if you are in the middle of the season, maybe it might be better to wait until the next cohort to participate.
Okay. In order to be fully transparent and accessible, let's talk about fees. So we are an organization, and while this program does have some funding to get us started, in order to keep it sustainable, we have had to come up with a fee structure. So we're using a sliding scale based on your operating budget. So anyone with an operating budget under 200,000 a year, the fee is $399. If you're between two and 500,000 a year, it's $999. And if you're over 500, it's $1599. So what does that cover? It covers all 6 chapters, 4 peer cohort sessions. You can have up to 2 one-on-one coaching hours with me, downloadable templates and tools and like budgets and audits and all that sort of stuff. And we also implemented in our second round drop-in coffee chats with the artist associates, which really proved very popular. And it gives you a chance, really, without the structure of a lesson, to ask questions of artists who are either deaf or disabled. And then, oh yeah, you also have access to the tour ready catalog. So after hearing people say, where do I find work by disabled artists that we can present? Creative Connector put together a tour ready catalog of those artists. And then you'll get a completion certificate as well that you can use for grants, etc. And if you need one, we can write a letter saying that you went through the program to help with grant applications.
So I'm going to just very briefly talk about the artist associates who are behind this program. So the playbook was really created in collaboration with an amazing group of artist associates who are coming to the conversation as performers, educators, researchers, and as well as access consultants. And they're all really coming with very different lived experiences working in the performing arts sector. So you're going to learn from their perspective and stories, as well as advice. So like Rachel talked about, these drop-in artist coffee chats are enormously valuable because you actually get to ask them questions and hear from them about very valuable advice. So throughout each chapter, you're going to hear from them. You're going to be invited to engage with them as an option.
Yeah. Great group of people and a great opportunity maybe to meet with folks that you wouldn't normally get to meet with or you wouldn't have had an opportunity to get to know before. So great. Can I talk about the framework a little bit, Lindsay, do you think?
Great, yes.
Okay. So we had mentioned earlier that the program is organized in a cycle around a 6-part framework. So we really begin by grounding the work in disability arts and culture, some values and histories that help define the sector. It gives participants, I think, a really strong starting point and helps us understand that accessibility is not only about accommodating, it's also about how we got here. So it's about getting in touch with the work that's already been done and what role you see yourself playing within that history. So I'm going to actually share a quote. And this is from Charisse Lebrun at Neptune Theater, who's just finished the program. And it is, quote, "The program helped me recognize that I knew my personal reasons for doing this work, but I didn't yet know my organization's answer. Being asked, 'What's your why?' opened up an incredibly helpful conversation about where we want to go together." End of quote. So, the first lesson really is, like we said, grounding your why, finding out why you're doing everything. But next, we're going to learn how to assess physical spaces. So, this can be your own organization or your own space, or it could be venues that you're working with. You'll explore what's actually working, where barriers may exist, and where there are opportunities to make really impactful changes. The engage section really focuses on relationships. In this area, we'll explore how to have conversations about access, how to move through the fear of getting something wrong, and how to build that really important trust with artists. So Reach looks at communications, marketing, and outreach. And here we're going to consider how artists and audiences find your organization, whether your information is accessible, how your communications can show that deaf and disabled artists and audiences are genuinely welcomed into your space. Okay, I just wanted to say though that while this section focuses on communication, overall, the framework really is about getting artists onto stages rather than assessing the digital accessibility of your websites. So this section will have some tips related to digital accessibility, but it is not the focus of this level of the Access Playbook. That digital accessibility will be built into subsequent levels or courses. So if we think of this as an introduction level, the next level will be, which is still being developed, will take in more digital accessibility. The resource section looks at our favorite, budgeting, and demystifying what an access budget really looks like. Access requires resources. That is a fact. But it doesn't always mean doing the most expensive thing. This section will get you thinking more proactively about what might be needed and what things might actually cost. So we do also provide resources on where you can find access funding in different provinces and regions, but that is not a big focus. We don't focus on helping you find grants. I just wanted to sort of bring that up. There will be a list of some stuff there, and there are other resources we can point you to. Finally, at the end of these 8 weeks, you'll bring all your learning together by creating an access action plan. And this plan is going to be tailored to your organization. It will identify a specific area of focus, some realistic next steps, who needs to be involved, and what resources or relationships may need to be developed. So, Lindsay, I'm going to ask you, why a cycle? Like, we have 6 lessons we've just talked about, but like, why is it a cycle?
Yeah, and thank you for asking that, Rachel. Yeah, we really designed the framework to be thought of as a cycle because we wanted to practice to be uh, used and thought of as something that you can repeat over and over again with every new project that you work on. So while you take the program, you'll go through the cycle and you'll complete it. The hope is that you'll actually take it and you'll be able to use it or repeat it over and over again for each new project. So for every project that you're working on, you'll ground yourself in your values, you'll assess what is happening, what you're working with, who you're working with, and the spaces that you're working with. You'll engage with the people that you're working with. You'll think about how you're reaching the artists and the audience, and you'll identify the resources that are needed to help you make a plan. So as you repeat this, every time you work on something new, you're going to get You're going to continue learning. You're going to learn new things for every project. You're going to build better relationships and you're going to strengthen each new practice.
And Lindsay, as you're going over that, do you want to tell us how it works?
Yeah, so how it works is each week, beginning September 15th, you're going to receive a chapter that is focusing on one area in this framework. So the chapter is going to include a short video, it's going to include case studies, and it's also going to include practical tools that you can take away and use. And then also this period where you're getting the chapters is very self-directed. So you're going to decide when in your schedule you're going to absorb that content. In each chapter, you're going to be given prompts and as well as suggested exercises to help you think about the ideas related to your own work. So you're never going to get any homework assignments and you're never going to be expected to submit anything. The goal is really to apply what you're learning to what you're doing in your current work. And then connect. You're going to gather with, during these 8 weeks, you're going to gather with your cohort. This is going to give you an opportunity to actually talk about what you're learning, to ask questions, to hear from other organizations how they're approaching their work. And you're also going to be invited to drop in a online coffee chat with an artist associate. This is an optional component of the program, but highly, highly encouraged as it's really valuable. And then finally, as Rachel said, at the end of this, you're gonna go away and work on your own for I think 3 weeks, and you're gonna take what you've learned throughout the program and create a Access action plan. You also have access to coaching support with Rachel, which is really, really valuable. And then at the end of all that, finally, you're going to meet with your cohort again and actually share the plan that you put together. And this gives you a chance to get feedback and explore next steps for doing that.
Yeah, and I just want to say that that final cohort meeting will be a little longer than the previous three because we want to give everyone enough time to really share their plans and get whatever feedback they're looking for. And again, you can ask the cohort, I want feedback or I don't. And that's your choice. But we do allow extra time in that final cohort meeting, just so you know. Speaking of time, should we talk about the time commitment of the course, Lindsay?
Yes,
Okay. Do you want me to do that? Okay, I can
sure.
start off.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, listen, we're all working the arts. I get it. We are booked to capacity already. We're one of the most driven sectors out there. And we all work on deadlines. Like, there the old saying, we know there's a show date and a show time, right? So this program is intentionally spread out. It's spread out so that you have the time to absorb the material and apply it in your work. The first part of the program really does focus on moving through the chapters and meeting with your cohort. You should probably plan to spend approximately 1 to 2 hours engaging with each chapter and attend your 3 online cohort sessions in the first little while. So let's just say maybe 6 to 8 hours in total in those first few weeks. Um, we will paste the cohort live sessions in the chat in a little bit so that you know that they're what they are and better to know ahead of time. Oh, I think Lindsay's doing that now. The second part gives you solo time. So for that time where you're building the Access action plan, there are no meetings, there are no chapters. That's time for you to work on your program. And then during that time, you do have the option. So throughout the whole process. You can have two coaching sessions at any time, up to 2 hours. So we could even do little half hours, whatever. So you can tap into that as needed, and that's still available during that 4 weeks that you're working on your access plan. So the amount of time that you spend on your plan really depends on how deeply that you choose to engage, and whether you're involving other members of your team or not. I mean, we all know solo work is takes a little less time. So the program is designed to be manageable alongside your regular work, but it really does require active participation. So if you are already at full capacity, or you're in the middle of your festival, or you're in the middle of launching your new season, it might be better to wait till the next cohort. And then I did want to say, and Lindsay, I think, we're both really feel strongly about this one, is you're not expected to implement everything during the program. We're working through creating a plan that is sustainable and realistic for you and your organization. The Access Action Plan is there to guide what happens after the program is over. Yeah. Okay.
Great. So we're making really great time. Does anybody, I think we have a little bit of time, Rachel. Do you want to pause and let people jump in with any questions if they have any so far before we move into the next part?
That's a great idea.
Does anybody have any questions so far? We will also have 5 minutes at the end to ask.
I just wanted to confirm. Sorry, maybe I should have raised my hand. Um, you mentioned that this is for connecting art organizations with disabled and deaf artists to get them on stage. Is it also about the audience experience?
Okay, yeah, okay. So sorry, we're both like, who should answer? So the focus is building relationships, centering deaf and disabled artists, but that building relationships also includes, if I have this disabled artist, how do I make sure that the right people are coming to this show that are going to appreciate that work, right? And so that could mean reaching out to that community, the deaf and disability community. So while the focus is not audiences, the marketing and outreach section will help you. The audit section will help you, because we're going to teach you how to do an audit for backstage for artists. You just flip that into front of house and you've got a venue guide for your audiences, right? So the skills are transferable, but first and foremost, Creative Connectors' mission is to make sure that deaf and disabled artists are having the exact same opportunities as non-deaf and disabled artists across stages in this country. Did that answer, Ada?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Michael, I see your hand up.
Thanks so much. I think it's a similar question. Like for Brampton Arts Organization, where our closest example to sort of our role in Brampton is like the Lassos in Toronto, and it's more of like an art service organization. So we do work with performers occasionally, but we're much more grounded in like professional development and trainings and things like that. So I guess I kind of want to just say that aloud and just make sure that it sounds like a lot of this information is like super helpful regardless, right? Like we're still hosting events, we're still, whether you call it a performance or not. Yeah, I guess just wanted to kind of confirm that because I don't want to
So,
take up. Sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, can I take that one again, Lindsay? Because I'm going to put on my Spark hat. So I'm ED of Rezo Spark Network, supporting performing arts in rural and remote communities. We just had our symposium I guess 2 months ago now. And I do use a lot of what we talk about in the Access Playbook when I'm creating those events, because I'm making sure that the participants who are attending are getting that audience outreach. I'm making sure that my presenters and my facilitators are getting that backstage artist outreach. And so it has really helped. This year we programmed actually two of the artist associates on this Access Playbook, Intercomplementary Journeys, which is Aaron Ball and Maxim Beauregard. Because we utilized this, we were able to program them at our conference. So I hope that answers a little bit for you.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you. I think you also reminded me of just like the intangible benefits of kind of being involved in the relationships and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
So if nobody has any questions right now, what do you think, Rachel? We get into the cohort experience and then we can have another 5 minutes, yeah, hopefully at the end to
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
great.
And if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat as well. And we can address them at the end.
Okay, so this is what is about to happen. We have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven people. So we're going to, Lindsay's going to open two breakout groups. She's going to randomly assign you to a breakout room, and we are going to paste prompts in the chat for questions, which I will read as well. And basically, you're just going to spend time discussing those prompts together as a group. I'd like to say that if we could have a community agreement that we're all here with an open heart and an open mind. We're on a learning journey together. We might be in different spaces on that learning journey. Language is fluid, and if depending on where you are in your journey, your language might be more in line with the community or less in line with the community, and that's okay. Our cohorts are non-judgmental spaces where we're all coming together to share and to learn. So I would love that we could perhaps all agree with that before we go into our breakout rooms so that everyone feels really confident and comfortable to share. Lindsay has dropped the prompts into the chat. And so basically, I think, just when you get into the chat, if you could be mindful that there's 3 or 4 of you, that we have a limited amount of time. I think it's 10 minutes. So we have 10 minutes, so maybe 2 minutes a person to talk, and you can pick any of the prompts. And then when we come back together, we're just going to talk about that. We're going to have a couple minutes just to share what happened in our rooms. Does that sound good to everyone? Can I get a virtual or real thumbs up if that feels okay? Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I love the explosions. That's great.
Recording in progress.
Hi, Lindsay.
Thank you, everybody. So really quickly, how often do you get the opportunity to have these types of conversations with your peers where you just get to talk access? So, uh, once a month, hands up. Once every 6 months, once a year, maybe once every couple of years, never. Yeah. So it can be like I find it really nice. Like our cohorts, they are facilitated, but it really is about you. It's about the people in the room sharing with each other where you are. I always say my little personal tagline is when it comes to access, sharing really is caring, because we want to take that load off of the disabled folks, right? We want to carry that load and do the work. So I really want to thank you because this is where the transformation happens. It's when we carve out that space to share our ideas and our thoughts and learn from others who are our peers and are going through the same thing. Yeah, so thank you, everybody. Lindsay, over to you.
Yeah, that is it for this presentation. I mean, if you've listened to this and you feel like this is a good fit, we will send you an email with more information about how to register. And if you don't know yet if this is a good fit, I invite you to reach out to me. We'd love to have a conversation with you to see if there are other ways you can get involved. Also, if the fee is a barrier, again, reach out to me and we'd love to explore how we can make it accessible. And we have 1 more minute for questions, but I'm also happy to stay on for a few more minutes if anybody wants to uh, ask any questions.